They've changed a little bit since we played them the last time, doing some different things defensively. They've installed a few new sets that have been very successful for them. 12's usage rate is even higher than it was the last time we played them. So their team is, in a short period of time, a little different even than the last time. And so I think their plan of attack against us the first time was very, very good. And we've got to figure out how to solve some of those problems. And then we've got to address some of the new things that they're doing on both ends of the floor and what our plan of attack will be against those things. So a lot of work to do between now and noon on Thursday.
They may be saying the same thing about you, that you guys changed a little bit since you played.
Yeah, I think it was the second game since we had changed some of what we were doing offensively. Our personnel has changed for sure since then. But strategically, we're kind of doing the same stuff, playing with more energy, but I don't know that that's strategic. But some of the things that they're doing tactically is for sure different than they were doing against us.
With it being canceled last year, going through that COVID stretch, kind of leading right into the tournament, does this kind of sort of feel like a first rep at the SEC tournament?
Yeah, just in a little bit different words, that's what I said to our team. You know, all of us have yet to win a postseason game at Texas A&M. We've only had one opportunity of that. The pandemic officially began in the world that I lived in 6 hours before we were scheduled to play Missouri. I remember it like it happened yesterday. On that Thursday, I remember flying back here on Friday and meeting as a team before everybody left. And then obviously we remember all of the things that began to unfold over the next year that were unlike any in history. And I remember the game in Nashville last year, all of the protocols. I think it was a 41-day pause. We played January the 31st at Kansas State that morning in the Big 12 Challenge, and then got our first positive test of the year on February the 2nd. Practiced 5 times the rest of that month. Played Mississippi State. The first game back, you know, you remember we were playing a completely different style of play on both ends. We only had 7 kids, and then closed down SEC play at Arkansas, playing that same style, and had a chance to win the game. Q missed the 3 in the corner after 2 consecutive turnovers prior to that. You know, that was when the chairs had to be 6 feet apart, and I probably remember too much of it, just to be very frank. And so, yeah, in a sincere way, thankful for this chance, just to, in a more stable environment with some level of normalcy. Obviously, we've never played in Tampa, but I think it's actually our first real rep 3 years in. And I was telling somebody on Sunday that I talked to, and I don't talk to too many people, like, I took the job here on my wife's birthday on April the 4th. And whenever we get to April the 4th, if we get there April the 4th of 2022, it's unlike any 3-year period of my life, personally or professionally. And there hasn't been a break. Win 5 out of 7 in year number 1 to close it down. And then we had shoot around that morning in the hotel room, gave out quote shirt number 12 that morning. And I never eat pregame with our guys. And I went up to the room, and as soon as I opened the door, like before the door even shut, before I even walked across the threshold of the door, my wife said, "They just canceled it." And I was like, I don't even know what to say then. And I didn't. And I told our players, I don't know what to tell you. And then just all the things that we went through last year that some were insinuated, some were never revealed, some were obviously revealed. Yeah, that was a nonstop deal. And then when we returned from Nashville last year, massive seismic changes to try to restructure it all. And so, yeah, it's our first real rep.
You talked about the energy of your team being different maybe from the last, playing the same team twice always presents challenges, but I guess just what's going to be different about this time around that, you feel like it's confident heading into this one as opposed to last one you played Florida?
Well, the last time we played Florida, I think we scored 57 points and they had 20 offensive rebounds and 4 with 3 of the biggest free throws of his short-lived college career to win it by 1. I didn't think that we were necessarily great. Like I said initially, I thought their plan against us was exemplary. We had lost 8 games in a row going into that game. So I think we're in a different place, but I also think they're very good. Had a huge win over Auburn. I think the game after we played them, I think Auburn was number 1 in the country. Maybe they were 3, 4 days later. So much respect to coach and how they operate. Did a great job in the portal. I think those kids are playing together probably better than they ever have up until this point in the year. I think that just takes time. It's part of the new world order of college athletics. And so I think it's postseason game number 1 for all teams for us on Thursday. I know there'll be some teams in the league that play tomorrow, but yeah, I think it'll be the execution of all of the small intangible things that'll give you a chance, because it'll be a very thin line between winning and losing.
How much does preparation change when you get to the postseason? I know for A&M, it's your group's kind of first year run, but obviously you've had your opportunity before. How much does it change when you're turning around and playing?
Yeah, I think those multi-team events that we play in November are always good prep. We were the first game in Vegas on that Wednesday. We were the first game the second day. We were the last game the third day. Depending upon how long we stay, our routine will end up staying the same because of the bracket. Will be the first game every day. So hopefully we can stay and create some level of routine. I've been in this position before without sounding arrogantly as a head coach in postseason. And so I just think the margin becomes even thinner. And the tactical part of playing a team the second time, there's a portion of that, I agree. There's a portion of Travis's question of the anxiousness to play in postseason and continue to play. So there's a lot of variables, but I think the thing that becomes the separator is the ability to execute maybe some of the things that are not seen to the naked eye.
It seems like in postseason, it becomes more of a possession by possession.
It's a shortened game. It's the shortest game as you'll find. November, the game's still pretty fast. December, it begins to kind of settle. January, you see a distinct change in pace, and you see it just continually go incrementally slower as teams begin to understand one another. Personnel scouts become very exact. Special situations become monumental. It's almost Frank Beamer special teams. Let's make our name on the special teams. And then when you get to March, winning a game in March is distinctly different in what's required than it is even in February. And so the game just shortens, and how the game is officiated is different. Obviously, it's all neutral site the rest of the way. I think that plays a little bit of a factor. Obviously, it's pretty much a home game for Florida. I mean, we're playing in Tampa, so I would assume that the Gator faithful will be in droves in Tampa. So I know we say it's neutral, but to some degree, it's probably not neutral for Texas A&M. But yeah, the game for sure shortens.
So what is at a premium in those kind of games?
Yeah, just the value of the possession. You're going to have fewer of them. I mean, it was 57, 56. It was a little bit of a rock fight 3 weeks ago. And there's no slingshots. There's no bow and arrows. It's literally with your hand, pick up a rock. And it's not pebbles anymore. You know, you're trying to throw big rocks. And so, yeah, it just shortens.
Do you have similar feelings, you think, with your team as you might have had 2 years ago, going into that tournament before it got canceled?
Yeah, I don't know if similar would be the word, Olin. You know, that was year number one. We took the job. There were 5 players on the team. Obviously, TJ Starks never made it to game number one, so we had 4 returning players, and I guess we had 9 newcomers. Went to Costa Rica, took a long time, lost every game in Orlando. Took a long time for them to figure out what we wanted to be about. I actually think that was what I was talking to that guy about on Sunday. I actually think when we lost at Arkansas in SEC game number one, in year number one, I think that began to turn the tide. I think that's when Chuck Mitchell was completely 10 toes in. And I think that was when Josh Nebo followed Chuck Mitchell on, yeah, this is how it goes. And then we continued to improve. This year, Q, Dre, in truth, were the only returning players that didn't play during a COVID season. You know, it's unfair to H, it's unfair to Haas for me to judge them or anybody else to judge them. It's the least number of practices ever in a season, the least number of games ever in a season. There were no opportunities for the intangibles because it was come here and practice and go sit in your room. No interaction. Don't go to class. Everything's online. Don't go to tutoring. Can't share a meal together. There's no hugs. There's no daps. There's no hangout. Everybody stands 6 feet apart. We were doing all of the protocols, and I think our administration was phenomenal during that period of time, but it's just a unique period of time. I think what's happened with this group is they've discovered the fun of work. And through their discovery of working hard as fun, they've learned to love themselves. Not arrogantly, and I don't mean they love themselves, they love others within that work. And I think it's been beautiful to watch. I know you guys don't get to see it except on game day, but the love that's shared between those guys comes from their work. And there's only 3 words in that facility. It's a pretty facility, but there's only 3 words. It's love, work, and trust. And I think that's what's transpired here as the season has unfolded. You know, when you lose 8 games in a row, there's not many people cheering for you. And when you're 20 years old and you've been one of the better players, no matter where you're from your whole life, and everybody's told you you're the best player, and you come play Kentucky and you look around and you go, it's the largest crowd in the history of the building, and the building was built in 1989. And then 3 weeks later, you're like, where'd everybody go? I think you begin to learn by osmosis, oh, maybe the love should be transformational instead of transactional. And I think that's what's happened through our work. They've learned to have fun in how we work. And that's hard to do because I do think that we work. But then through that work, they've learned to have genuine love for one another. And I think it's pretty evident even when you watch us play now. I don't think the things that are happening in the periphery affect our guys anymore. We play at Alabama. They have arguably the best talent in the league, for sure top 10 or 12 in the country. Great ambiance. Our guys would have been just fine if it was shirts and skins and we was playing across the street over there, because they wouldn't say that. They wouldn't articulate it the way that I am, but they've learned that all of that stuff outside the lines may not be what it's cracked up to be, good or bad. And I think they've learned that inside the lines that you can improve through your habits, through your work, through your discipline. And then when you're working every day, those that are doing that same level of work, you begin to have genuine appreciation and genuine love for one another. And it was like, like, I understand. I sincerely understand. It's not a condescending remark like, hey, Buzz, how do you keep them guys playing a month ago? Like, hey, let's just shut it down, try it again next year. And then now it's like, hey, now, if you do this and you do that, what about this? And what? Oh, no, I'm not going to be fooled by that, right? Like, we've already been through that. Let's see if we can work today, be a little better at our work, improve a little better at what our work is. And then that love just continues to become inflamed and it continues to grow. And that's become our protection. Those guys love one another, and now they're doing it for one another. And not that those not in between the lines are not important. That's not what I'm saying. But it's become very real and almost raw in the emotion of the love of, yeah, we know what this is. And I think that's what's been the coolest part.
Do you see a position of growth in the program by being in a position where a couple of wins might boost a resume, as opposed to other seasons when that might not be the case?
Yeah, I think our guys know. I mean, I know you know this. I mean, like, I talk to our guys the same way I talk to you. Like, it's not like I'm using the media and the smart players know how to access what I say, and then the smart players are telling the other players, hey, Buzz said this. Like, I don't do any of that. I never tell our players, hey, make sure you say this to Travis. Like, I've never done that in my whole career. Hey, tell them what you believe to be true, and then I'm going to do the same. And I think they understand what's at stake. But I also think that the growth that has come from the heartache of what we have been through, they're wise enough now. Their wisdom comes from their experience, and they're wise enough now to go, we probably should just do today. And if we do today the best we can, it may turn into we get to do it again tomorrow. But the if this, then that, I don't think they participate that anymore. Like, I don't say, hey, guys, now, if we win on Thursday, who we're going to play on Friday. They'd never hear that. Do I think they know? Yeah, I think they know. But I think what they really know is we better do Thursday, because we know how short-lived all of this can be. So let's do today in preparation for Thursday.